Hi Sec 1, so for today's lesson, we'll be talking about a new source-based skill and it's called compare and contrast. It is a second source-based skill that you're going to learn. The first one that you all have learned will be your inference skill. Okay, so before we go straight into how it applies to history, we're going to decontextualize this and use a non-historical example to show you how compare and contrast works. Okay, so let's start. Firstly, before we begin, we need to know if I compare and contrast something, what am I looking out for? So the obvious reasons would be similarities, number one, and differences. Okay, so the similarities is in the middle because it is something that is the same. The differences would be things that are largely different. Okay, two things that are not the same. So next, if I show you this photo, okay, what is the similarities and difference between the two fruits? Basically, they are similar in being fruits, right? So it's in the middle. However, the differences is that one is red, one is orange, so they are different in color. And the next thing that is different is also that one has leaves and one doesn't have leaves. Okay, so you can see in the Venn diagram there, the middle similarities, outside is differences. If I show you another compare and contrast, okay, this time round, Blackpink versus Twice. Don't tell me whether the similarities is you like or you don't like them. Okay, but look at it carefully, just the pictures. Firstly, the similarities, I think the obvious one is that they are K-pop girl groups. Okay, or you can just say that they are K-pop groups, K-pop bands. However, the difference, give me one difference, it would be Blackpink has 4 members, right, for Blackpink, whereas Twice has 9 members. So they are different in telling you the number of members in the groups. Okay, so that is the similarity and difference. Now, again, we go a level higher. If I were to show you source A and source B, in this case, and I ask you the question, how similar are these sources? Okay, refer to page 17 of your skills package because it shows you the steps in answering a compare and contrast question. And we are going to use these 6 steps in these two sources. So source A shows a chart, okay, and who is the top of the charts in the music that is being produced. And source B shows a picture of a filled stadium. Now, if you look at the step-by-step answers, number one, they are similar in telling us about BTS because both talks about BTS. Number two, both sources agree that BTS is popular. Okay, so this part, BTS is popular. I'm going to come to that later. How do I know that they are popular? I need evidence to back up this statement. Source A shows a Korean chart with BTS scoring number 1 for its weekly total score. This means that BTS is very popular as a lot of people listen to the songs. If a lot of people listen to Blackpink or Twice, can you tell that it's popular? Definitely yes. Similarly, source B shows a picture of BTS performing in the Tokyo Dome, which has a huge capacity. This means that BTS is famous worldwide as they have such a huge crowd of fans even in Japan. If a stadium is filled with audience members, definitely the show is popular and the group is popular. Therefore, sources A and B are similar. Okay, so let's look at the answers in detail. Firstly, you answer the question by saying the similarity. Okay, but what is critical here is that you must give an inference on how they are similar, and in this case it is BTS is popular. It is not seen or shown in the image directly, but it is an inference that was made. Okay, so if I were to write it down, this is your inference. And how do I back up my inference? I give my evidence from source A, and then also your explanation, and also source B with a explanation like what we did just now. Okay, and lastly, therefore sources A and B are similar. Okay, another key thing that you need to take note is you need to use a connecting word, which in this case is similarly. So if I want to compare and contrast something, just take note that now you have to give your evidence from both sources, not just one source. Okay, if I go to a textual source now, the more difficult one. Pause this video and read the two sources before I show you the answer scheme. Now, you would have read both sources, and this will be the answer scheme. So number 1, both sources A and B are similar. I'm answering the question. Next, how are they similar? Blackpink songs are addictive. Okay, that, like what we said earlier, is your inference. Okay, next, the evidence from source A states, if you haven't heard Blackpink's Kill This Love, you might want to stay away. It is an earworm that's been lodged in my brain all weekend. This means that Blackpink's music is addictive since it gets stuck in the author's brain. So you must first understand what's the meaning of earworm. If something is an earworm, that means you are liking it and you cannot stop listening to the music. That's why it is addictive. Similarly, the evidence from source B states the track pushed the quartet to global recognition with the trap beats, catchy chorus, and a message for haters to back off. If something is very catchy, you'll be listening to it every time, so it is therefore also addictive. Okay, so you see how the evidence clearly links to the inference above. Okay, catchy chorus as well to the addictive part. Okay, so now we are going on to the next part, which is back to history, and I want you to turn to your skills package, page 18. Okay, if you look at page 18, these are the two sources. Pause the video for a while and take time to read the two sources before I give you all the answers. Okay, if you look at the question, you should have read both sources by now. In what ways are the sources similar? Okay, so if I look at source A and source B, they are both talking about the period between Raffles and Farquhar. Okay, the period of their time here in Singapore. So if you just give a summary of source A, it is very negative because it's talking about how Farquhar didn't look after the island. Whereas in source B, it's saying all things positive about the island and how Farquhar did his job pretty well. Okay, so from source A and source B, which are the two evidence, you match it on your own, that shows the similarities in the island, okay, or the similarities in the sources. So there's one evidence from A and one evidence from B that shows you the similarities. Take some time to do it. You can pause the video and then continue on after. If I ask you to choose two evidence to show the similarities, the best two would be Farquhar turned a blind eye to slave trading, matching it with the encouragement given to slavery, gambling, and other crimes appeared as bad leadership. Okay, so from these two, I know a lot of you will say that they are similar because both sources talk about slaves in Singapore. Is that making a inference? Remember, both your similarities have to give an inference. Okay, it is not. You are just lifting from the source. So if I take these two, okay, and if Farquhar turned a blind eye, that means he continued slave trading, and source B also says that slave trading and gambling and other crimes continued, I can say that both sources agree that Singapore had a bad living environment. Why? Because there were so many crimes and so much gambling and slavery, all the negative activities that is happening in Singapore. Okay, we will not do criteria 2 because there's only one paragraph that we're going to do for this question. Okay, so if you're done, you can turn to the next page, and we're going to apply this common inference into the 6 steps in writing out your comparison paragraph. Okay, so step number 1, answer the question. Sources A and B are similar. Both sources agree that Singapore, and clearly says here that it must be an inference. Okay, Singapore had a bad living environment. Okay, please take this down as the video is going on. Okay, I'm guiding you before you try it out on your own in the next practice. So where do I get my evidence from? From source A. Okay, I'm going to write it down from source A. Okay, you must copy down the whole sentence. So this part. Farquhar Okay, I'm not going to continue on because the video will take some time. So Farquhar turned a blind eye to slave trading, and then finish up the sentence. Make sure you finish up. This means that, and don't use the ... okay? This means that slave trading continued. Okay, slave trading continued in Singapore, creating a negative impact to its living environment. Okay, so for the explanation, you have to come up with it on your own, as how you do for an inference question. Break down the evidence and explain. Okay, source B. Okay, I'm going to write it down again. The encouragement given to slavery, gambling, and other crimes. So similarly, Okay, finish up the evidence as usual. So if I read through the whole sentence, the encouragement given to gambling, slavery, and other crimes appeared as bad leadership and inconsistent with the British way of governance. Okay, this means that crimes and negative or bad activities continued in Singapore leading to bad living conditions. Okay, so you can see that it is explaining how it is linked to the inference. Okay, both evidence is linking back to the inference at the top here. Okay, and I want to highlight that this part, which is called the common criteria, also known as your evidence, okay, is critical in answering a compare and contrast question. Okay, so I hope that you have understood how a compare and contrast question works. In the next lesson, or when the teachers meet you next, they will go through this with you and clarify any doubts or misunderstandings that you may have. Alright, thank you very much for listening and hope that you enjoyed the lesson.